Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Folks, we have an outstanding, packed show with video game news, specifically Xbox news and opinions. Jamie Moran is here with me. We also are expecting Infinite Umbra to show up any moment, as he normally does. And hopefully, we may even get Crazy Lou to drop by and, well, do something crazy. But what we're covering for the next 90 plus minutes are great stories that you're going to want to talk about, stories that you're going to want to hear about. And the first one is the leaked specs that come the way of Black Myth Wukong, which, of course, is, right now not coming to Xbox. That is releasing August 20th, 2024. That has been confirmed by the developer. Obviously, it is releasing on the PS5, and the specs have leaked. And you know what, folks? The specs, even though this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, do not seem big enough to warrant an actual delay, at least in my technical opinion, regarding the Xbox Series X and, of course, the potato, the Xbox Series S. Because, well again, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It is leaked. It has not been confirmed, but the leaker kind of does this on a regular basis, so we will talk about that. We're also, folks, going to get into two of the bigger stories. One, which, of course, is the lead, and that will be at the back end of the show. Undead Labs working not only with the Coalition, but they're working with Obsidian Entertainment. Some new information about the world building and how they're going to use the tech found in Grounded to allow for you to have this breathing, living world in the next day of Decay. Super interesting stuff. And of course, before then, man, this is one of those stories that make you kind of scratch your head. I have not listened or watched or supported IGN Unlocked since becoming a YouTuber. And that's just about 6 years ago. I've stopped listening to them even before then. I used to be a huge fan of Ryan McCaffrey. I don't know what changed with him, but he kind of became someone that I didn't want to listen to anymore. I'm not going to call names because, we don't have to do that on here to make a point. If you don't like him as well, that's entirely up to you. I'm not going to, get to the school grade and call names because I don't think it really does generate a conversation. It just makes people yell. So I don't like the work that they do there. And one of the co-hosts there is, well, Destin Legarie. Now, Destin, look, I know he sometimes steps in it, sometimes even puts his foot in his mouth. And look, I like Destin a lot. I don't think he's a terrible person. I don't think he's that he's a pony, as some people like to say. He's an Xbox guy. He has an Xbox channel, and I actually just finished listening to one of his videos. I like Destin. Do I always agree with some of his takes? Absolutely not. And unfortunately, what I'm going to play for you is probably one of the worst takes I've ever heard from him. It is a rhetoric that seems to be what social media and gaming journalism has become. It's disappointing, especially coming from someone that is supposed to be an Xbox dude. To hear this, it doesn't make any sense. I'll play the clip for you, and then we will have a discussion. But before we get to any of that, the elusive gamer, a.k.a. Mr. Mass Effect himself, Jamie Moran, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Hey man, happy to be here. It's been a busy week for gaming news, and with all the stuff with Destin, IGN, which I could talk about for hours, but I don't want to bore people. But look, I'm enraged. So today, people are going to get rants from me, and when it comes to Xbox, people are always throwing mud at the platform. It's tiring. It's been going on for years, and
Yes, it has.
I'm just looking forward to get into it because I'm ready to tear some heads off.
Look, here's the thing. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's when I feel that it's disingenuous, and sometimes that is clickbaitery. Sometimes that is trying to get subs on your channel. When I see that, I call it out. I don't care who it is. I think it's gross. I don't think you need to use clickbait. I don't think that you need to use console war rhetoric. I think that if you come here to whatever podcast you're gonna produce and you put honest takes, even though they're takes that people are going to disagree with, at least they're honest, they're from the heart, and who's going to fight you on it? Well, there's going to be some people, of course, but in the end, folks, if as long as the content is honest, it's not a problem. And I believe that Destin does put a good product forward. I don't think he necessarily chases this mythical algorithm. Has he done it in the past? Well, sometimes I and some things that he's done, I would be like, yeah. But as a general consensus, no, I don't think so. This, though, is a very, very poor 37-second take. And again, I want to thank Kloot, Kloot, who actually went back and forth, politely with Destin. There wasn't no name calls from either Destin or Kloot. They had a conversation. They walked away. They both disagreed with each other, and that was great. But he actually clipped this and sent it to me, so I want to use it in part of the conversation. But we are going to get to that. That's going to be the second topic of the show. I do, and again, there he is. Before I was going to do my whole thing. Hey, Infinite Umbra, welcome back there, brother. How you feeling?
Hey, Boom. Good morning. Good morning, Jamie.
You sound energized. Did you have a cup of coffee? Did you drink? Did you get a nap in?
I had a slight nap.
Okay.
Yes.
Always do it. Yeah.
A slight nap got me a little bit right. But yeah, I'm excited to talk some things with you guys. I heard you guys talking about Destin Legarie before I jumped in.
Yeah, we have a really bad take. Again, not evil, Destin Legarie. You know what I'm saying? He didn't join the dark side. I just think it's a bad take. We will get into what he said because I'm going to play the clip for you, and then of course we'll have a conversation based on his response, which I have also on Twitter. Because obviously, well, it's the internet, and they came from, as they say, and I don't think you should do that. I think that you should tell him politely, hey, listen, this is a really bad take, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Whether he ever responds to me or not is irrelevant. It's still my opinion, and I'm going to do it in a proper manner. But, gentlemen, before we get to that particular story, I want to talk about Black Myth Wukong. Now, this is a game that from the inception of seeing it, was like, wait a second, this is something else. Now, when it was first shown, it was a lot of like really big boss battles. So it seemed as if it was going to be a boss simulator that in the vein of Souls. Well, it turns out that this is not actually a Souls game. It might have a few elements in there, but it is much more forgiving from what we understand. It plays more like an action adventure game. It is not as open world as something like Elden Ring. A lot of people were disappointed with that. I'm perfectly fine with that as well. It is more, this is the map that you're on. This is the board that you're on. I'm sure there's going to be some places to explore. It's going to have some hidden things, maybe even hidden bosses, kind of like Elden Ring, but it's not this massive open world skull pounding on the ground kind of a Souls game. It's an action adventure game. Maybe you see difficulty somewhere around, let's say, Ninja Gaiden or Ninja Gaiden Black. Like those were not. I mean, we didn't have the word Souls like right back then. They were just games that were super hard. That's what it seems like it's going to be. So why am I bringing this up now? Well, it's releasing August 20th, right? Today is the 6th. It's releasing in 2 weeks. It's gonna be a big deal. Unfortunately, and I have a PlayStation, but I'm not buying it for the PlayStation. I want to play it on Xbox, so I will wait for whenever it's released. So why I'm decided to bring this up is, and I'm going to go first to Jamie here. Xbox gets browbeaten almost on a daily basis, no matter what they do. They had the greatest show on earth, the greatest video game show this past June, that showed not only they were supporting their gas games, they showed a ridiculous, I would even say redonkulous amount of single player, story driven, heavily graphically made games. Something that Xbox fans like myself, who enjoy Sony games for that, are now getting on Xbox. So it's a big win for everybody. But one of the things that consistently comes up, besides console sales, and we're going to get into that about how the sky is falling with Xbox, and why even bother showing up to the next generation? Why? I don't know. The potato, i.e., the poor Xbox Series S, and it's surprising, and some of the really important context does get left out of that conversation. Like, let's see, I don't know, over 50% of PlayStation users are still on a PlayStation 4, right? So if they bought a Series S, they're coming from a PS4, great console, sold a lot of consoles, but it's a PS4. That generation ended years ago. And they get it. Let's say, for instance, they do come over to Team Green because of Call of Duty Black Ops, because of NCAA 25. They're going to put on this console on a TV that probably isn't even HD. It's probably just a regular 1080p TV, and they're going to be completely blown away. Well, Black Myth Wukong was announced initially for everything. And at the last minute, we got this, what I believe to be a very, very half-hearted explanation from the developer. And a lot of people, including myself, called foul and said this is another Sony deal that they've done time and time again. And of course, you've had people come out and say, no, they didn't do that. They're not contracted by it. Listen, I call BS, and here's why. If optimizing the game for the Xbox Series X, which should be identical to the PlayStation 5, because let's face it, the PS5, still a great console, not as powerful as the X. That's a fact. But if we're going to go with the running narrative, Jamie, that it's being held up because of the potato known as the Xbox Series S. Here's why I push back on that. Now, this is for this leak comes the way of Game for Index. Now, who is it's again? I've never heard of the person. This is it's a leak. It is a rumor. I do not have this confirmed, but take it for what it's worth. This is why we're having this as the opening salvo rather than a main topic. According to the leaker, the performance of Black Myth Wukong on PS5, and again, this Game for Index is posting this, and the original leaker is Lunatic Ingus. I don't know who he is, but apparently he's a leaker. Fine, whatever. If you want to play the game on the PS5 in 60 frames per second, it's going to be at 1440p. If you want to play it at 30 frames per second, it's going to be 2160p. And according to Lunatic Ingus, Black Myth Wukong is exceptionally well optimized on the PS5, according to the leaker. Now, Jamie, again, this is my opinion. Am I wrong? Well, potentially. I'm not a quote-unquote tech guy. But I can tell you that I think right now the Series S, which actually has more 120 frame per second games than the PS5 right now, today, could do 60 1440p. And I don't necessarily know. I mean, maybe it does 60 at 1080. Maybe it does 30 at 1440p. It's not going to hit 2160. Those big numbers you're going to get on the Series X. But I think that to suggest that the holdup is simply because of optimization, I don't know so much about that now with these numbers. What are your hot takes on this?
Oh, this is going to get spicy. So I've been following this game for a very long time. In fact, I was probably one of the first people on Twitter that was covering this game because it didn't have any announced platforms. They just put out a fancy trailer, amazing graphics, and I was like, I want this. I hope they put it on Xbox. And funny enough, every single reply to those were like, oh, you don't want this kind of game on an Xbox, but that's a story for another day. So last August at Gamescom, it had its officially announced platforms: Xbox, yes, PlayStation, PC. And ever since then, on the website, it's had PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC. And about 2 months ago, we hear, or what should I say, at the Jeff Keighley show, or whatever you call it, there was no Xbox listing. People went mad on Twitter looking for what was going wrong, and then the developer came out and said, look, we having issues with the optimization. We want to have it right. Now, if a game gets delayed due to optimization, I'm perfectly fine with that. That's understandable. I would rather have a game late and running properly than day one and running like, Assassin's Creed Unity back in the day. So, like, I'm perfectly fine with that. But what does get fishy is that the announcement of the delay for Xbox has been completely removed from Black Myth Wukong's website. There's no mention of Xbox on their official website. So to me, it doesn't seem like it's an optimization thing. To me, it seems like, look, Sony has a bit of a quiet year. Maybe Sony's going out of the way to buy up, exclusivity rights. I remember Stellar Blade was originally going to come to Xbox. That never happened. So, like, they clearly going around throwing around money. And I think this is one of those scenarios. Like you said, and a lot of people know this, like 120 frames per second games on Xbox Series S, there's a lot of them. So, like, I can't say this as an optimization thing. We have a bunch of Unreal Engine 5 games that run on the Series S perfectly fine. And then you have this one title that it just happens to be the issue for its delay. And then they remove all mention of it on the website. That's fishy. There's something about this that doesn't seem right. And, with the stuff that came out the other day, I think this developer, maybe they've taken some sort of paycheck or something like that. But, like, I'm looking at their website right now, literally no mention of even the delay at all. So, like, and if you click on the news section on their website, literally they talk about the NVIDIA graphics card and the pre-order page available on PlayStation. That's it. They've removed every single mention of Xbox on their website.
I find that to be very, very suspicious, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's sus at the end of the day. And, you can mention this online. People call it tinfoil hat wearing. But if you point out legitimate facts, there's a problem here. And you have these companies, they don't want to put games on Xbox, maybe because they want a Game Pass check. Maybe they want Xbox to pay for the funding. I don't know. But this seems to be happening time and time again. And I think, like, well, we're obviously going to talk about this later in the show, but there's over 25 million Xbox Series consoles out there. That's nothing to wave a stick at, right? That's a lot.
Actually, closer to 30 now. We got some new information about that, and they're a pinch closer to 30. So you're right. How do you wave the white flag with 30 million potential customers? I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, and I think a lot of these developers that they look at Xbox not as like a secondary or like a third kind of console. Like, they just don't like the platform. But they negate that there's all these gamers that have been looking forward to their game for the past year plus, and now they're just being told, hey, it's not coming day one. Actually, it may not come ever because, again, it's not listed on the website. There's something extremely fishy about this situation.
Indeed.
And the thing is, we may hear the truth like 5 years from now, and it might end up being something like really shady, and no one will care. No one will even cover it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Xbox fans deserve to know why Xbox hasn't been listed on the website anymore. We deserve to know when, because if they said, hey, look, it's not coming day one, but it's coming in like November, I don't think anyone would really be that annoyed. It's like, okay, it's a bit disappointing, but it's the fact that there's no release window at all. Because at least with Baldur's Gate, when that whole situation happened, they did say they wanted to get it on the console by the end of the year. But with this, nothing. And that's concerning.
You're not wrong. Just real quick, Randy A. Well, Randy, welcome to the program. As always, I've seen you in the chat before. He says the Black Myth Wukong developers already said it wasn't an exclusivity deal for the game. And you know what, Randy? You are 100% right. But you know what? This isn't about exclusivity. This is about an indefinite delay. Now, they didn't say... Again, go back and look what they said, even just recently with the whole S game situation where a particular unnamed developer said, "Who needs Xbox?" Remember, we talked about that yesterday. And again, you know your mileage is going to vary on whether you believe it or you don't. But this is not, and we're not suggesting this is an exclusivity play. It's coming to Xbox. They said it was. The issue, and a well-documented one, thanks to, of course, Jamie Moran, that even at the website, Xbox has been scrubbed from the entire website as if the box itself doesn't even exist when this was announced for the Xbox. So I'm sorry to say, if you don't believe Sony money had this, I'm not going to fight with you. I hear you. But I would have to, and I will continue to disagree, because I don't think that's the case. I do, in fact, think that they paid them to have this scrubbed from their website, no mention of Xbox, buy it here on PlayStation, and they're doing that because they are super light on first-party games. It's not bad business. I'm not calling them a bunch of, SBs. Listen, it's what Sony does. This is their business. They're not, I mean, are they evil? I'm not going to get into that. I can tell you right now, if you got to get a refund, good luck, Charlie Brown. But I can tell you that this is one of those situations where this new information that leaked about the actual specs tells me that it's more nefarious than people want to admit. And if you're a Sony fan, you don't care because it's coming to your platform. If you're an Xbox fan, you're like, well, you know what? That sucks. This has now been delayed, quote unquote delayed from our platform. Avowed got it delayed into 2025. So some people are going to be disappointed. Listen, there's a lot of games to play. I'm okay with it. I'm just saying that I think there's a bit of a fugazi going on here. Infinite Umbra, I want to bring you in on it because, again, I pulled the actual original tweet from Lunatic Ingus, and he said this: I saw a lot of people worried about Black Myth Wukong running bad on the PS5. I can confirm that the PlayStation 5 version is very optimized. The dev kits were also at Gamescom and Hangzhou, which I believe is another event. And he has it confirmed here, 1440p at 60 frames on the PS5 and 2160p at 30 frames if you want a more visual presentation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with 1440-60, but of course some people are going to have a problem with that. I certainly do not. Just based on the specs, again, take it with a grain of salt. They're leaked specs, and this is a rumor. I kind of feel like the money hatting thing actually happened, and nobody is ever going to admit it publicly. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, no, I agree with you 100%. 1440p at 60 is actually really solid, especially if you have a decent panel for it, right? Or a TV. But so that's decent. Looking at the specs there, seeing how it's fully well optimized, it makes you think, okay, if you can get 1440p at 60 on a PS5, I feel like you can get 1080p at 60, if not 30, on a Series S.
Yes.
So to me, that seems just as weird a little bit to me. I will agree with that. You want to take them at their word and say, well, okay. I don't think they'll just be like, let's just do this against Xbox, right? But then we know Sony, and that's the problem, and that's why we're having this problem where we're like, hold on, let me turn up. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misread. Sorry, Abdel. He was saying low, and I'm thinking he said he couldn't hear me. So the problem is that we've known Sony's history as far as at least us that have been paying attention, all of us here in the chat, etc. We've been paying attention to what Sony has done over the years, so we know they will money head the hell out of some things, and and then hide their hands at times. So
yes,
or they'll do some shady practice where all of a sudden, now these games are not allowed on Game Pass, etc. Right? Not that it's not wise of them, but that's these things we know they'll do. So we're already at a defensive stance when it comes to something that is like this, or what we see, like Jamie pointed out, with Stellar Blade, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Which was announced for Xbox, and then suddenly, it will. What happened was, so yeah, I get it 100%. The problem is this: Microsoft stepped out and said something about it, where they hinted at this being the case. Where
you know what? I am glad you are bringing it up. Please run with that narrative, because you know what? I absolutely failed as a host. I forgot that. Like, I actually forgot
you didn't
that.
fail. But yeah, Microsoft themselves hinted at it, and I don't think they are going to just say that for nothing, right? I don't think they'll just say that for nothing. And they said, we can't how do they put this? They said they couldn't comment on deals made by their partners with other platform holders. Well, I don't think you're going to say that if you don't have some inside knowledge that Sony possibly worked out a deal with what's their name, the studio, Game Science. I don't think they would say that unless Sony may have worked out a deal, and they're trying to be, I guess, slightly respectful about it, while also tipping us off to it. I just don't think Microsoft is in the business of doing that if they don't have some good faith in knowing that may be the case. That's my thinking on it. So it's still shady. We have no confirmation of anything, but the fact that we know Sony has done what people consider shady, many of us have considered shady over time, and the fact that we know they will money hat games that were previously announced and to come to Xbox, yeah, it definitely does look like, okay, they pulled something here. We can't quite point out what it was, but it seems like something, right? And we had this whole situation happen even with Baldur's Gate, if you guys remember. People like, did they work out a deal? Now that turned out not to be the case, but that even then was something where it felt shady. But again, this is the type of I guess foundation that gaming platforms have created, because it leads to an untrustworthiness and Sony and what they do, right? So yeah, it's possible. I just still feel like that 1080p at 60 or 30 from a supposedly well optimized engine with Unreal Engine 5, of course. I had to say it.
That's your middle name, sir.
I'm trying to get paid now. Epic, I'm here.
Pay this man, will ya?
But I feel like, yeah, that might be. I feel like it's a little shaky, because I feel like if you can get you can get the game running at 4K at 30 and at 1440p 60 on PS5. I feel like at the very least 1080p 60, if not 30, should be capable on the Series S. But that leads me to another thought and question, and to you guys and the chat. Would you say if the game was possibly delayed on the Xbox because of a parity clause that Microsoft has for Series S and X, this goes back to that question we keep going back to. Would you all be fine with them not having that parity clause and the game just releasing on the X until they can get it optimized for the S?
You know what? That's a great question, dude. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The parity clause is, again, it's one of those things that it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? Like, I really think that, look, if this has to be delayed because they have to release it on a Series S, which actually has sold more than the actual Series X, then you can't even argue. And then at that point, whose fault really is it? It's Xbox's fault at that point. But just for some context here, I found both tweets from both companies. So obviously, the first paragraph I'm going to read for you, ladies and gentlemen, is the one from the developer of Black Myth Wukong, and they go on to say, we are currently optimizing the Xbox Series X and S version to meet our quality standards, and this is Game Science, so it won't release simultaneously with the other platforms. We apologize for the delay and aim to minimize the wait for Xbox users. We will announce the release date as soon as it meets our quality standards. Okay. And you know what? It's a fair statement. It's unfortunate that they didn't release that statement prior to, of course, the internet detectives going like, wait a second, why is the Xbox logo not there? What the H is going on, right? So here was the response from a representative no name mentioned here of Xbox. And they go on to say, we're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making the Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. So to your point, I don't think it's a parity clause thing, because why would they come out? Because what they're saying ultimately, they're putting Game Science on blast with that statement, right? To me, that is literally telling the entire planet that, hey, it's not our fault that this is happening. We can't comment on deals made with other companies and publishers. That tells me, just on the language alone, and maybe I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, that this was a money-hatted deal, not an exclusivity play, but hey, hold this game off. Here's a bag of cash. Hold the game off until the new year, because we don't have much, and we want people to look at our platform as the exclusivity box for these types of games. Obviously, Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. You have Rise of the Ronin. All of these types of games, they're only on PlayStation 5 right now, and they're probably going to remain on PlayStation 5 at least until next year. So, again, it makes sense.
It definitely does sound like some type of deal was worked out. I mean, just putting all those things together, it seems kind of like, those saying, if they walk like a duck, quack like a duck, et cetera, et cetera. To me, it just seems like, and those other old sayings, where there's smoke, there's fire. I just feel like Sony has done it so many times before. They had somewhat of a shaky year first party wise, obviously. Not even somewhat, a shaky year for first party, and they had to load up on third party. Well, if it's coming to Xbox, that defeats the purpose for it being on PlayStation. It seems kind of like might be the case that they money headed this thing. I will be honest. We don't have any confirmation, but if I had to speculate, I would agree with you.
Again, not the biggest or greatest story. I just thought with the leaked specs, I think it kind of does make this conversation a bit more pointed, where the Series S is a 1440 machine. If you can't get it to 60, I understand that. Maybe you get it to 60 at 1080p, but you definitely could get 1440p 30 on the Series S. So I don't know, whatever they're selling, I ain't buying. But, gentlemen, I do want to get into the second topic, but I do got to catch up on Super Chats. So just bear with me as I just send myself a link here, because I'll punch myself in the face if I don't. Because I hate when I do that. Like, I sent myself the link and I go looking for something, and I'm like, God damn it, I got to look for it. So real quick, we have a couple Super Chats here. Sith Lord, a generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 Super Chat. And he goes on to say, Holly is going to be on XNC Umber today. I love my Chicago family. Indeed, all great people. And Chi-Town. Yeah, I was in there during my my boot camp for the Navy. Chi-Town, great town, all the way back in the days.
Much love to Sith Lord.
Summer. Yes, and indeed.
It's hot right now, actually, out here too.
Dude, it is so hot here in New York. It's just egregious.
You guys have the humidity with it too,
bro. It is like suffocation out there. It is gross.
I can't take it, man.
No, I can't either.
I'm not a fan of the summer, if people didn't know that, but having humidity with it, oh
no good. Give me the heat is not a problem. Humidity definitely not good. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops not only a super chat, but he has once again, ladies and gentlemen, gifted 5 double barrel gaming memberships. And that is just incredibly generous. Thank you, Will. We super appreciate the ridiculous support. But you know what? Happy birthday, brother, because he turned 52 this past Saturday, and his second super chat of $5. And he said he spent the day at the amusement park with his daughter, 8 hours of roller coasters and water slides. And according to him, he's still recovering. Brother, when you cross 50, all of that hurts.
you got all type of acid reflux going on inside of you right now.
It's just,
well, you know what we have to do now, right?
We gotta, you gotta.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, a big shout out and happy birthday to Will Broke Boy Lewis, brother. Thank you so much for the support. And of course, happy belated birthday. I'm glad to hear that you had a fun time. And yeah, we're getting older, brother. You know, we can't water parks for us in our 20s. We ride everything. We're jumping off the vines, off the ropes, we're doing the loop-de-loops. You try to do that now, you're going to the hospital. That's just straight up the truth. But you know what? That's what happens when we get old.
It's amazing what getting a little older can do to you. I used to just, up to my like late 20s, I used to just fly off flights of stairs. I'm talking about 30, 40 stairs. I would just fly off
right
like
up there like a
yeah,
cat.
Like I was Blade or something. I don't know what I was doing. And I try that now. Hell, I get up off the seat and my bone crack like
yeah. So your body's letting you know about yourself. And unfortunately, there are no potions to take because this is the real world.
I start sounding like James Brown when I get up.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Good God.
Well, listen, let's get into this podcast unlocked, and we're gonna go first here to Jamie because he's sitting there waiting. He's ready to throw down. So, what exactly happened? Well, I'm going to pause this footage. I'm going to bring it up. Look, I have a tremendous distaste for IGN because of the way they do their reporting. They used to be a really great site. They used to have a lot of great people that work there. They used to have a whole bunch of podcasts that I listened to. Hell, I used to be one of those boobs that, when Ryan McCaffrey say, hey, spend, $30 a year to help us keep the lights on. For codes I never got that I never used for PC, like, game codes, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fan. I listen to, Unlocked. I listen to PS I Love You. I listen to the Nintendo podcast when Pierce was actually on the podcast. It was a great time to be an IGN fan. And something changed with them 2014, 2015, and I never went back. I found YouTube. I found a bunch of YouTubers that I still listen to this day. And then, of course, I decided to ask to be on someone's show, which, of course, Mooch allowed me to guest once or twice. And then he made me a regular panel member. And after a couple of years there, I decided to, start this empire known as, Double Barrel Gaming. And, well, here we are. So I have not listened to Unlocked in years. And there's a reason for it. This is one of the reasons. And, again, I'm not trying to take Destin out of context. This is what was said. This is what we're going to talk about. I think it's a really bad take. I like Destin a lot. I still watch his stuff. I'm still subscribed to his channel. I just watched 2 of his videos this morning. So I'm a fan. But I think that this is a bad take. I think that this is an industry, a gaming industry take. Not so much for other publishers. I think this is a gaming journalist take that has just run rampant. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But let me just set up the video so you fine folks could see what I am seeing, or more importantly, listen to what I have heard. So let me just share that. And I don't know if you can. Okay, I can blow it up. It's probably gonna look like what, but oh no, the act doesn't look bad. So yeah, Paris Lilly was there. Of course, there's Ryan McCaffrey. And in the middle is Destin Legarie. Let me just get to what he had to say.
Content and services grew 61%, 58 points of help from Activision there. So overall, it's 3 points of growth. Hardware is just in the toilet. Basically, I don't think it really makes business sense for Microsoft to be investing in this next generation of hardware. Am I glad that they're doing it? Yeah, I suppose I'm glad, but I don't get why that investment is being made when you can't even sell your current console and you can't give people a reason to buy your current generation of console. Like, clearly it's not happening for them, right? Content and services grew 61%, 58 points of help from Activision there. So overall, it's 3 points of growth. Hardware is just in the toilet. Basically, I don't think it really makes business sense for Microsoft to be investing in this next generation of hardware. Am I glad that they're doing it? Yeah, I suppose I'm glad, but I don't get why that investment is being made when you can't even sell your current console and you can't give people a reason to buy your current generation of console. Like, clearly it's not happening for them.
So I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to add my footage back here, and so let's get into that. This is one of the poorest takes I think I've ever heard him say. Again, I'm not attacking him. I don't think he's a D-bag. I don't think he's an evil part of the evil corporation. This is his opinion. He's entitled to it. Fine. I 1,000% disagree. To even suggest such a thing is, well, let's just, and Jamie, I'm going to let you run rampant because you made mention specifically of the Wii U, right? And the Wii U sold 13 million units, right? Nintendo was hanging on by a thread. And what wound up happening? Well, they changed gaming, right? They changed gaming in the way that Nintendo has done so many times before. And they came out with a piece of hardware called the Nintendo Switch. It is at best a 1080p machine, and at worst, probably 560, 720. But it has sold 140 million units. It is going to eventually overtake the PlayStation 2, right? There's no doubt about it. They're going to overtake, and they're going to become the number one selling console of all time. Facts. I have it. I have 100 physical games. I have over 50 digital games. I play my Switch every single day of the week. There's not a day that thing doesn't go on for either Animal Crossing, something first party, or one of the like a Japanese shooter that I download on a regular basis, the shmups, if you will, shoot 'em ups. I buy them by the dozen. I just love arcade stuff like that. And Nintendo is great for that. So if by that logic, Nintendo should have just been like, you know what? Let's go back to making card games. We suck, right? But they didn't. And they released their next piece of hardware that is going to break a record that has been standing for decades. That, in fact, can happen if what we're hearing about the next Xbox. The next Xbox is going to be the evolution of gaming. It's going to be a hybrid handheld. It is going to be a ROG Ally-esque device in your hand. And if what we're hearing, and it's going to have an actual dock that has hardware, it is going to be a PC-like device. It's just going to say Xbox. If they add the fact that you can play your Steam games there, unbelievable. If you can play your Epic Game Store games there, incredible. Plus your Xbox library, everything changes. Maybe that's the catalyst that gets people to buy this, because now it's a handheld, but it's also someone like me, it's going to play it docked, and it's going to stay docked. That is a very, very reckless and poor take. I'm interested, Jamie, to hear what you have to say.
I mean, this was a bad take. I don't dislike Destin. I think he's a cool guy, but it's these takes that constantly make people doubt them and question them. You know, Xbox fans, they've been through the ringer this year. You know, everything that kicked off in January all the way to now. But, you know, Xbox had their best showcase ever. It was so good that even like the big detractors that hate on Xbox for, you know, views, they were like, wow, that was an amazing showcase. And like Xbox still hasn't been able to have their plan fully play out and let things happen, right? You know, games get delayed, life happens and all that stuff. And in the midst of all that, you have people say that Xbox should just get out the console business. It doesn't make any sense.
Ridiculous.
You know, I made the point yesterday about the Wii U selling 13 million consoles in its lifetime, and the amount of people that were like, "No, Jamie, that doesn't count because Nintendo is different." It's like, no, shut up. One, do you know third-party software didn't sell on the Wii U? These game companies basically make most of their money not off the hardware, not off first-party games. It's due to third-party revenue, and the Wii U wasn't making any money. The consoles weren't selling, first-party games weren't selling, third-party games literally didn't even chart in the UK. To the point where in 2014, supermarkets in the UK stopped selling Wii U consoles and games. Right? They literally weren't selling. So, like, if Nintendo gave up, then we wouldn't have the Wii U. Sorry, we wouldn't have the Switch. We wouldn't have this renaissance of PC handhelds. We wouldn't be in the place where we are now. And you have these people that were crying for a year, saying that Xbox is buying Activision because they want a monopoly and all this stuff. It's like, do you realize if Xbox got out the console game, if you wanted to play core games on a console, you'd literally just have one console to choose, a PlayStation, and that would be horrific because then all these companies, they could charge whatever the hell they want for video games. Game prices could go up to $120 and you'd have no option because that would be the only console you could play these games on, right? GTA 6 on console, you'd only be able to play it on a PlayStation. That's this world that people want to push, and it's kind of scary, We've been fans of Xbox for over 20 years, and we've heard this the entire time. Xbox is still here. And Xbox isn't perfect. There's things that they need to fix. Personally, I think they should have kept on with the backwards compatibility program. I think DVR could be better, but like as a platform, their studios in way better shape. Their games are clearly getting better in quality, and like, look, Game Pass is phenomenal. And yeah, Destin coming out saying them selling consoles doesn't make sense. Here's why that doesn't make sense. Because people like to think like, oh, Xbox, they're not selling consoles. Like, no, they have almost 30 million consoles out there in the wild. People are subscribed to Game Pass because of their consoles. People are buying games on their consoles. People are buying DLC, skins, and all this stuff. So, like, to say that they should get out the console game, that means Microsoft would be saying goodbye to all that revenue from skins, Game Pass, games, everything.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's no sense. And it's such a two-dimensional way of thinking when it comes to consoles because, like, look, Xbox Series X and S should be selling better. They have the better hardware, the better product, better features, and the better lineup of games coming. But because PlayStation is stronger in so many more countries,
yes,
that's why they're ahead. Like, Xbox is strong in the US, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, UK, Australia, right? That's pretty much it. But PlayStation is popular everywhere else on Earth, right? They basically have Japan, everywhere else around the world, and like even the UK alone, right? The UK, nobody really cares what's the number one console, right? Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega have all been number one at some point or multiple times. It is how it is, and it's like PlayStation. They've always been number one in France, Spain, Germany, right? And that's always going to be that way, but. And, I've said this before, Xbox needs to market more aggressively in European countries.
1,000%.
But, like, that's why PlayStation's ahead. PlayStation, they do not have an exciting lineup this year. I think the Astro Bot game does look pretty fun. The Lego game looks pretty fun. But, like, as a platform, they don't have exciting things ahead. If you go to any of these PlayStation content creators' streams, they're talking about Xbox because PlayStation right now isn't exciting. There's nothing to talk about. People keep talking about a mythical showcase. People keep talking about that rather than the actual problems in the industry. Xbox is fine. They should be selling more, but they aren't. The economy's in the tank. People keep selling the PlayStation isn't selling as much as people think. But I think that the whole thought of trying to get Xbox out of the console game for 20 years, it's tiring. And fans are sick of hearing this. Everyone listening right now, we've heard this crap for years. And when you have people at IGN, the biggest gaming media group on Earth, and by the way, they own a bunch of different, media outlets. They basically are a monopoly now. You have Game Informer, which is shut down.
Yep.
IGN own bloody Eurogamer, right? They own game news. And for them to have an Xbox podcast where they talk about Xbox that way, it's disgraceful. If you put on a Nintendo podcast from IGN, they're like, yay, let's talk about Mario this week and the next Zelda game and the possible Nintendo Switch 2. And then on the PlayStation podcast, they talk about, how we want a Bloodborne remake. But on an Xbox podcast, you're like, you know what? Xbox should maybe get out the console game because, they're selling 25 million consoles. Yes, they had a good showcase and they've got good games coming, but, how about we get Halo on PlayStation? On a bloody Xbox podcast. It's lunacy. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It makes no sense. IGN, I stopped using that website in 2015. I think as an Xbox fan, I don't know why anyone would go there. it's not informative. Like I was talking about this before the show went live. Every month I put out a video of upcoming games coming to Xbox. My list is more accurate than IGN. They don't even list Xbox for games that were announced on an Xbox stage. So for them to come out, and by the way, I like Destin, but that whole rhetoric of Xbox should get out the console game because they're not selling as good as PlayStation is just stupid. Again, Wii U, lifetime sales, 13 million consoles. Nobody batted an eye when they came out with the Switch, right? So, like, I think Xbox is in an exciting place right now. Yes, you have people freaking out because they put 4 games on other platforms, 3 of which didn't sell. But people need to calm down. If people want to send a message that they don't like this constant negative push, stop supporting them. Stop watching them. And it's like why I stopped watching IGN back in 2015. It's why would you watch that stuff if you're an Xbox fan? It's not informative. It's not entertaining. And why would you just want to make yourself depressed about a hobby you like? As an Xbox fan, I don't like that whole push of, Xbox needing to get out the console game. We've been told for the past year and a half, why do we want gaming monopolies? Well, if you want Xbox out the game, that's exactly what you're going to get. A bloody monopoly where games cost $120 and you only have PlayStation to choose from.
I don't know. Again, to me, it's just a really bad take. Just basically take your ball and go home. It's kind of what Destin is suggesting. I think it's reckless. It's foolish. It makes no sense. Well, you know what, Umbra? He had a tweet, a response to. I guess he was getting it. And look, don't bully people. Don't do that because that all that does is make the community look like a bunch of children. And you shouldn't be bullying anyone anyway, because of course it's illegal. P.S. by the way, but Umbra, obviously we're going to get your hot take on your opinion on his theory that, well, I don't even know why they're doing this. They should just basically pack it up and go home, and the investment doesn't make any sense. Well, $70 billion acquisition kind of changes that, but I don't know why he didn't say that, but fine. His response is this on Twitter. Just a reminder, since my take from Unlocked is making the rounds. You can like Xbox and like the console and still admit that another quarter with 42% decline of hardware sales year over year is bad. I love the Series X, but at this rate, I'm wondering if it'll even match the Xbox One lifetime sales. So he provides 2 pictures. Now, the one picture is of the Xbox Series X and S sales. This comes the way of Statista.com, who's pretty accurate. They have, as of February 2024, there were 27. Now, this is the beginning of the year, 27.7 million units sold in February. The next picture he has here is same website, Statista.com. Says the Xbox One was put into the market in 2013, and in its lifespan, where it ended in 2020, had over 57 million units sold. So that's a 7-year lifespan compared to not even a 4-year. That's a 3.5 year. So it's literally half, and they already have 27 versus 57. And like I said, I looked at Statista.com, and they're closer to 30 today as of June. So not only are they going to get there, but the difference, and I think, and this is where I don't get why people like, places like IGN don't get it. This is a much different era for gaming. Back in 2013, how did it go? Buy box, play games on box. Now, yes, Microsoft eventually made it where games were releasing both on PC and on Xbox, but that didn't happen for a couple of more years. This is a much different year and a different era for gaming where, yes, people are buying less consoles, but there's massive amounts of movement on PC. And of course, now the push into cloud with all of these deals, it's people are playing games in other places and not buying as many consoles. But Umbra, to suggest that they should just pack it all in, I think is ridiculous. What are your takes, man?
Now, I want to be clear. Did he say specifically that they should just stop selling consoles?
He says he doesn't. You know what? I will. Basically, I mean, if you want, I'll share it again. Give me a second. Let me just
Okay.
load it up over here, and
Well-
I'll read to you. I'll let you hear it again. Hold on.
Okay.
Continue with your point.
Well, I was going to say, this is my thing when it comes to Destin or whomever. I like Destin, so I have
So
no
do I.
issues. Yeah. And so this is my thing. Where are you coming from when you say what you say? I don't think Destin is in the business of hating Xbox suddenly. I think he's an Xbox fan. He might not agree, or we might not agree with what he says, right? So typically my mind goes to, is it a good faith or bad faith? If you're saying this out of good faith, I can disagree with you, but still accept your take. If you're saying it because you want to ride the controversy and for clicks, then I would have a problem. I don't know if I'm at that point of believing that.
Well, here it is. I played a clip for you again. You can hear it, and again, obviously take into account his context based on this clip.
Content and services grew 61%. 58 points of help from Activision there. So overall, it's 3 points of growth. Hardware is just in the toilet. Basically, I don't think it really makes business sense for Microsoft to be investing in this next generation of hardware. Am I glad that they're doing it? Yeah, I suppose I'm glad, but I don't get why that investment is being made when you can't even sell your current console and you can't give people a reason to buy your current generation of console. Like, clearly it's not happening for them, right? Content and services grew.
So there you go.
Yeah, it sounds like he's I guess he's speaking from a business standpoint. I guess that's what he's trying to speak from. Now, I've always felt odd about it, talking in that way of business, because I'm a consumer. So I've always looked at it like, why would I be talking about it from a business standpoint? I don't care about business. I don't care about somebody's business side of it. So it's always odd for me on that perspective. I get what he's trying to say here. But you know, it's not like he's saying, yeah, they might as well pack it up. But if he's saying business wise, it looks like he doesn't get why they would have another if it's not selling well here. Okay, I get it now. This is my thing on it though. And I get people's, I guess, consternation or being worried in general about what direction Xbox will go at. And a lot of this is because of the messaging Microsoft is giving us, right? Obviously, they're moving to streaming more so than ever, putting things on the Fire Stick and Samsung TVs, etc. And their own messaging literally says you don't need the box. You know what I mean? So it has led people to kind of go to the most negative common denominator, unfortunately. For me, I think I go back to what you just said a second ago, which is I don't think Microsoft makes such a heavy investment as they did with ABK and all these other things to just say, all right, well, we gave it a good old college try. Time to hit the old dusty trail and just go, I don't know, third party or something. I don't think they would do that. So I think all of these things, and we've known for a long time now, for years now, that hardware sales is not the end all be all for them. You know, MAUs or MAUs and subscriptions and servers, rather subscribers, should I say subscription server subscribers. I think my tiredness was kicking in. Subscribers is more of what matters to them in the long run, because it's constant flux of money coming in, etc., right? In time, and they can sell that also to ad shares, all that other stuff. So I think that maybe the fact that times have changed so much and that we're so used to the traditional sense of console sales and them mattering so much, and then you see Nintendo and Sony still selling fairly well because they're still using a traditional model, while Microsoft has moved but beyond that. You know what I mean? And it starts to look like, oh, Microsoft is looking bad, and it's because people still have that traditional view when it comes to console sales. I don't think this is the end all be all for Microsoft anymore. They've changed, they pivoted, and I don't think people have gotten on board with it yet. So it looks, while it might look bad and it might seem like, okay, woe is me, right? What it really comes down to is that they've changed strategies, and we have to see how that plays out at the end of the day. I think we'll be fine. You know what I mean? Personally, I just don't think that this is like them. They're going to look at this and be like, all right, well, we're just going to stop now. I don't think that's going to happen. And even if it was a matter of it selling just 30, 35, 40 million, whatever, on whatever console, because I don't think, again, I look at the Xbox Series X and S, and then I think, okay, not even just business view, but as a consumer, what does it offer me and you know, to potential people, what does it offer them? And I look at it as like, okay, well, clearly it's not like they shortchanged anybody. They gave quality consoles here. So it's not like people are seeing this and like Xbox is not worth it. Then you see all the games they got coming, you see all the companies they own, they got Call of Duty, they got Game Pass with all of that stuff included. I don't think it's for a lack of wanting Xbox that anything is like this is happening. I would credit much of this possible downturn of console sales to a few things, and largely because of the economy right now too. I think people kind of ignore a lot of that, and I think we kind of get in our own, I don't know, I'm gonna say echo chamber, but we kind of get in our own mindset again of this traditional view of what console sales should be doing. And because of traditionally how it went, I don't think we're in that anymore, not in that pocket anymore for Microsoft. It's different. And so people are looking at this from that view and from that lens, and they're trying to hold Microsoft to that standard still, where they're just not there anymore. You know what I mean? So it's to be seen. Maybe I'm wrong at the end of the day. Maybe it might be the case. Well, we didn't sell, blah, blah, blah. We'll find out. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's just they've changed, because I don't think you purposely put your foot in your mouth and say, hey, Will, you don't need the box, you know, get it on Fire Stick and, you know, be a subscriber. I don't think they do that by mistake. And unless they know that they plan on continuing on as they have been continuing on with hardware and other options to get into the service of Game Pass. You know, that's my thinking. So listen, I get where people are coming from with Destin. I don't think that anybody should go and take his view so serious to let it offend you. Not on this, at least. I don't think this is too offensive. But hey, everybody has their point and their breaking point of what they can and can't tolerate. For me, this did nothing to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I just look at it and hear it and I'm like, okay, well, all right, that's his view. Doesn't bother me. I know where it's coming from. It's coming from a traditionalist mindset of console sales. I don't think they're looking at it from where Microsoft is at now. It is what it is. We'll see how it plays out at the end of the day. None of us have a crystal ball, unfortunately, because I would be winning the lottery if I did. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out, man. I just don't think it's not even something anybody should get worked up about when it comes to that, to me, as far as his view or anybody's view when it comes to these types of things. You can disagree and you can definitely call it out. I'm not saying that we can't have the conversation. I'm just saying, like, don't, because I see some replies like, oh, I had them subscribe. I was like, I don't think you need to do that necessarily, but it is what it is. Again, you have your own threshold. Me, it doesn't bother me whatsoever what he views this and sees it as. It's not going to stop me from enjoying what I got to enjoy. You know what I mean? But that's just me.
I mean, it's a fair point. And I see, listen, someone else's opinion shouldn't get you all so excited that you're going to raise your blood pressure. I just think personally, it's a bad take. That's my take on it. I'm going to stay with it. One of the things, and again, I want to get to the third topic of the show because the next one is a good one as well. And actually a positive one. But one of the things that just has been gnawing at me since the numbers came out from Microsoft is the people on social media, folks, don't be bothered by them. Put them on the pain of my list by blocking them or muting them because their opinions are skewed. The problem that I have with one of the statements that Destin Legarie made in that 35-second clip was from Inception. 58 points came the way of Activision. The other 3 points, even though it was why are we still separating Activision from Microsoft? The whole point of spending $70 freaking billion was to get what that guy had over there and add it to your roster. So when you sell Call of Duty games, you get the money. I mean, that's business 101, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the running narrative. There have been multiple publications, some of the really big ones that we don't have to name on this show, that continue to drive that point home. Well, if it wasn't for Activision, well, shucks, they'd be out of business. Maybe, but that's why they invested $70 billion to buy Activision, Blizzard, and King, because they got mobile, they got PC, and they have Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass, which is going to drive, I don't know what, console sales and subscription sales. So trying to separate it and to use that as your jumping off mechanism for why Xbox sucks and why Xbox is failing is bananas. It's fairly disingenuous. No sense. It absolutely is disingenuous.
I agree with that. I saw those and I was like, okay, so you're saying this, but it's that but basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't like how they did that either. And I saw
it's just that. And it's not just IGN. This is the running narrative. If it wasn't for Activision, Phil Spencer would be fired. I mean, it was so ridiculous. But look, ladies and gentlemen, I want to move on to the third topic of the show. This one's a good one. And of course, I got to give credit where credit is due. I pulled this from GPT Gaming News. They actually, they're followed by quite a few people. They have almost 67,000 followers. A Game Pass tracker show they have, or GamePassTracker.com. I use them all the time. Well, they posted something the other day that has me as a zombie fan, as a State of Decay fan, and as a fan of the Coalition, of course, because of Unreal Engine 5, i.e. Mr. Umber himself, and, Obsidian. I'm fans of everybody involved in this story. I'm fans of the poster, which, of course, is Game Pass Tracker, and I'm fans of these 3 first-party studios that have been confirmed to be working together on State of Decay 3. And what's interesting is, besides the Coalition stepping in to help with the visuals, to show how to use Unreal Engine 5 to its best of ability, we know the game's a looker based on people still to this day saying that what we saw in June wasn't actual gameplay. Well, it was gameplay, folks. That has been confirmed. That game looks stunning. Where the rubber hits the road, Jamie, is the fact that Obsidian is also helping with State of Decay 3 development. And what are they doing exactly? And this has me incredibly excited, because one of the things that makes State of Decay a unique game is it is a world-building type of game that you can invite people in and play with. It is a zombie or post-apocalyptic zombie survival game. You gotta hunt for supplies. You gotta clean up towns. You gotta get towns back. You gotta clean out nests. It's a lot of work. It's scary, especially at night. You're crouched down. You're hoping that you don't get killed because you've already rolled this character for 30 hours, and the last thing you want to do is have this character get killed and turn into a zombie, and you lose all your stuff. Well, reportedly, Obsidian is working on the co-op for State of Decay 3, bringing the ability to share the worlds with your friends and have a fully functioning and realized co-op experience. We've also heard, Jamie, that they are going to bring some of the tech that they used for Grounded to make this a thing. Let's get your hot take on the fact that we're starting to see more studios working closely with one another, and Obsidian with the Grounded tech helping with what already looks like an amazing game in State of Decay 3. I'm super stoked for this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so to have developers working together and teaching each other different techniques and how to get co-op working, for instance, It works perfectly fine and grounded. Everyone shares the same world. It's seamless. It's not buggy or anything like that. With State of Decay, you kind of just have one person hosting the world and the other person is just there. And it's not that Walking Dead shared experience people have been wanting. But with this third game, with a full shared world, maybe it's stored on a server or something, like people are going to be able to have that. And I think that's been the number one most requested thing for State of Decay for years now. Obsidian clearly know what they're doing, and the fact that the coalition have also worked with the State of Decay team to get the a third person shooter combat correct, because the combat in 2 and 1 I thought was pretty good, but to have the coalition to help with that as well, it's just to see these studios work together. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of Microsoft having all these studios under one umbrella. They can actually teach each other things, help each other out, and I think it's going to be one of those things where we're going to see less issues and things like co-op and optimization with games going forward across all these different games, because you have so many different studios using the same tech with Unreal Engine 5.
Yep.
And, the co-op thing alone, that's going to be huge, because when Grounded first came out in early access, that was actually a huge streaming game. People were playing co-op, people were loving it and all that stuff. But with State of Decay, if you have full seamless co-op for the whole game, that's going to be a big streaming game. Zombie survival game, co-op open world, like that's the kind of thing that's huge on Twitch, or could be huge on Twitch. And I think that's something Microsoft really wants, is a game that really pops off on Twitch like that. So I think it's really good news. Obsidian clearly knew what they were doing when it came to co-op and Grounded, because I've never had any issues with Grounded. So yeah, it's good. I love hearing this news. And State of Decay is clearly in good hands. The first game, indie game, second game, AA game, and this is a full AAA game. It has gorgeous visuals. Third-person shooter combat looks excellent. So, co-op is all you really need fixed. And if they have more story elements in there, it looks like State of Decay 3 is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think it's going to be something special. I think that what we're seeing happen in front of us is an evolution, if you will. This was a arcade game that came out for Xbox on Xbox Live Arcade, and it was a small budgeted, small team game, and somehow it worked. 2 came out. It was a AA game. It did not launch great, right? It had a lot of the tethering issues where you couldn't go too far. Some of the stuff didn't work. And that game has consistently got so much support, it's ridiculous. And it is considered a gas game. And I would imagine that they're going to really drive that point home with the next Inception, which of course is State of Decay 3. Now, Umbra, obviously for you, the most exciting part is, well, it's Unreal Engine 5. So there you are.
Yes, sir.
You were excited for that. You were excited for the fact that the Coalition is helping with the shooting mechanics. They're helping with the engine building. But to hear that Obsidian, another AAA monster studio that has nothing to sneeze at, is helping and bringing their grounded tech in it to assist with the multiplayer aspect of it and the co-op aspect of it, this sounds like a winner already. Let's get your thoughts.
Yes, winner, chicken dinner. I have to agree. And no, for me, I have never played any of. Well, okay, I'll take that back. I played a bit of part 1, just a small bit. I didn't put much time into it, so I don't consider it really playing it. Part 2, I never played. I always wanted to, but I had other games to get to, and then I felt like it was kind of daunting to get into it. And then they say, "Hey, we got part 3. It's going to use Unreal Engine 5." Well, you had my curiosity. Now you have my interest. So I love everything I'm hearing about this, and what we saw at the showcase in June. So for me, this is a beautiful thing, because you want to see more, and we've talked about this for many times. And yes, Prince Green, I know it's on Game Pass, and I will eventually get to it. The problem is I just have too many games to play, Prince Green. That's the problem. I think it's a beautiful problem, but it's a problem nonetheless with Xbox. You just got an abundance, especially if you're a subscriber. You know what I mean? It is what it is. off topic. It always cracks me up when I see a real live steak cooking in Dragon's Dogma.
I tell you, man, it's mouthwatering for sure.
Yes, it's always just I look at him like, oh, that steak looking mighty fine right there. But anyway, getting back on topic, I'm excited for the possibilities of this for a lot of reasons. And one of the things was that we talked about many times on different podcasts, Microsoft having so many studios that they should have their studios working together to better help other development issues or possible development in other studios. This right here seems to be the case, and not seems to be the case, is the case. We got the coalition, like you pointed out, which is going to help them with obviously with the aiming and shooting, whatever mechanics, and Unreal Engine implementation, I would imagine. And then you have Obsidian helping them out. Grounded was excellent. I played a bunch of Grounded actually. Now, listen, I'm black, so when I see the bushes moving, which was really the grass, I ran away. I'm going to tell you right now. Risky will tell you. I left him, Doom Cutie, Pete. I left them all behind.
Because you thought it was a spider. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. My spider sense was literally tingling, and it was a spider, and it ate them up. I tried to tell them, they didn't listen to me. Hey, see, listen, you all have seen horror movies, and I've seen enough to know, like, hey, don't go that way. And if you keep going that way, I'm going to go the other way, and that's it for you. I'm not going to go back. Oh, let me go check. No. You had your chance. So I am hoping that. Oh, I'm hopeful that whatever they did with Grounded, it's just a really good game, Grounded. I hope that the next one is really, really good. But going beyond that, it excites me to know that they're going to help them with the co-op parts of this, at least, to really implement that well. I think one of the problems I think people was telling me about State of Decay 2 was the drop in and out aspect and how that worked, and they didn't like it in some cases. I forgot what the exact point they were telling me. In a party, I was discussing this with friends, but I think having quality developers like Obsidian and the coalition help you out can only be a good thing. So this is a positive all across the board. Very excited for this. I hope they take their time. Another thing too with a game like State of Decay is that it's a game that they're going to constantly build on. It'll be a live service. They're going to constantly build on that, add new elements, things of that nature. But what I hope they don't do, and we've said this before, we talked about this before with Halo, for instance, where it hurt them, it hurt 343, is that them moving to live service, they released Infinite with lack of features in some ways, right? Lack of content. I just hope, because like some people will try to go back and say, well, look at Halo, you said it was a 9. It was a 9 at launch. The problem was the follow-up, you see. So I hope with State of Decay 3, they launch it. I said it right. They launch it with a lot of content at the onset. That's what I would say. So I think
they've learned from their mistakes. I think Halo Infinite is going to be both a thorn and a learning tool for how not to do things. And that's why this doesn't even have a release year. Like, it's not coming next year. It's probably releasing in 2026 as they continue to develop for it. And you know what? Because they have so many games, Umbra, there's no reason to rush this out.
That's right. That's the beautiful thing. That's why I said I don't know how you could, just going even back to the last topic, is why I said I don't even really concern myself when people say all that, because I know what the content roadmap looks like. Like, we have something that PlayStation fans can't quite point to. You know what I mean? They can't say, oh, we know the roadmap. Well, we do on Xbox by and large. It's stacked this year, it's stacked next year. And it's probably going to be stacked the year after that, and so on and so forth. And they have so much time to get these things right. So I just hope they give them the time they need to set out with a content-rich game that's polished to the, as they would say, to the nines, I suppose. But having Obsidian on it, I wonder if it's just for any co-op implementation or if it's beyond that. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing we'll find out eventually. But I like everything I'm hearing so far about their development process for this game. Just really excited to see more of it, because from what we did see, it looks gorgeous, obviously being Unreal Engine, but we need to see more of it obviously in action, which I'm sure we'll see in the coming year or so. But yeah, excited, man, highly.
Yeah, a game looks like it's going to be really good. Again, I'm very excited for the team. I'm excited that Undead Labs isn't a team that you saw come and go, because obviously development is getting egregiously expensive. And now, again, like I said, what excites me for the studio itself is looking at their personal growth and evolution has me excited as a fan. They started out as a single A arcade game that launched on Xbox Live Arcade to great success. Surprised everybody. The second one came out and people were excited for it. I put over 60 hours into it. I enjoyed my time with it, but it was a bit flawed. There's no doubt about it. But since then, all Undead Labs have done is make it a better game and a better experience, and had ridiculous amounts of content. The third one, which will be out in a couple of years, has great teams working on it. Not just the state, not Undead Labs alone. They're working with the Coalition. They're working with Obsidian. That's great news for everybody, because this game is getting the time it needs for development. There's no rush to get it out. They don't have to sell 60 billion copies for it to be successful. It is going to be added to the long list of gas games they already have. I mean, you think about it, they continue to add to it. You have Grounded. You got Sea of Thieves. You're going to have State of Decay 3. You still have Fallout 76. You still have WoW. You still have Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, the list just continues to grow. And not only are they delivering in multiplayer gas games, they're delivering on single-player games. And I got to be honest with you, and this isn't console war rhetoric. If you look at the three bigs, meaning Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox, the roadmap for Xbox is bonkers good. And coming in at a close second, because obviously we know what's coming out for the Switch, and we know the Switch 2 is releasing at some point next year. The one that we don't know anything about is Sony. And I don't know why people don't, continue to, to pound down on how terrible Xbox is, when this roadmap in front of us is it's just bonkers good. But let me catch up on Super Chats, and we will get everyone out of here. We had Scott Woodford. Scott, welcome to the program, as always. He drops a very generous $2 Super Chat, and referring to Black Myth Wukong, he said they said a month ago it would be delayed on Xbox. Yeah, that wasn't even the point of context for the conversation. It was the new information regarding the specs being not so great that they couldn't be on the Series S. And I think it's more evidence as to this was money-hatted, not as an exclusivity play, but as a timed release play for Sony, because they don't have anything of their own outside of Astrobot, MLB The Show, and Concord, which is going to flop. So they need these types of games as exclusive content for their box, so they can tout, well, we have this exclusive content for our box. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 Super Chat, and he says, simple Destin, Xbox makes consoles for the people that will buy it because they want it. Ferrari sells less than Toyota. Should they stop making them? Man, it's a great point, Gamer by Choice. There are nearly 30 million people that bought consoles. They're going to sell more consoles this fall with Call of Duty. It happened already with NCAA, where GameStop managers that I know that you listen to on other podcasts came out and told you on the air that 5, 6, 7, 8 of their stores do not have Series S consoles because they're sold out. Nobody wants to believe it, but it's facts. Are they going to sell 10 million copies by the end of the 10 million consoles by the end of the year? I don't think so, but they're going to sell a bunch of them. And are they going to catch PlayStation? No, they're not going to catch PlayStation, but they're still going to sell consoles. There's a market for console gamers. I am a console gamer. I don't want to game on PC. I just don't. It's just I can afford to do it. I just don't want to do it. I like my console, and I will continue to buy consoles. People in this chat will continue to buy consoles. And if there's customers to buy consoles, they will make consoles. We already know they're making the next one. Now, is there going to be one after that? Well, I mean, listen, I'm not a fortune teller. I have no idea. But we know that they have at least 1 or 2 consoles One's a handheld, one's a hybrid PC, Xbox box that you're going to put under your TV, and we're all going to buy it. Freddie Fox drops a very generous $2 super chat and says 40%, 42% down isn't 100% down. Consoles or the console is still selling. Indeed, it is. That's a great point. Fantis Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say it's basically being suggested that Xbox stop making consoles and relies solely on PlayStation to justify their existence when even PlayStation sales are shaky. Not smart. Yeah, I just, again, I like Destin. I just think that was just a bad take, in my opinion. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he goes on to say, a little support, Boom. Good show, guys. Well, thank you so much for the support. We truly appreciate it. And of course, Torino, thank you so much for being here as well. Dan, the man Cunningham. Dan, what's going on, brother? Hopefully you are well. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, silently working, but always listening. Boom. Much love to you as well, brother. And of course, thank you for the support, not only for being here, but the very generous $5 super chat. And of course, folks, well, that's going to do it for us. 3 stories, 90 minutes, big opinions, a great panel. Hopefully you enjoyed it enough to hit the like button. Folks, FYI, Mrs. Boom and I are 62 subs. Holy matrimony from 15K. Listen, we don't really like to ask for anything, but hitting that 15K would be such a big deal for us. You know, it's anytime you break that 1,000 and you get to the next tier, especially in a small channel like ours, it's a really big deal. 15K would be monstrous.
I don't know, Boom. Is hitting 15K, is that little anymore? I think you're like a mid-size at the very least now,
yeah,
right?
I mean, well, I'm not being overly humble. I just think that we are still small. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is not comparing my apples to someone else's oranges. It's just that for me personally, you know, when you stream 20 live shows a month, and sometimes more than that with breaking news, the work's being put in. And the one thing that we're not doing, and unfortunately it sells on YouTube, is, well, we don't use hate mongering. YouTube will tell you that don't do that. No, don't do that. We don't like that. But they put these hate mongering videos in this algorithm, this mythical algorithm that get people to sub your channel because it's everyone loves hate. Everyone loves drama.
This is the thing that drives me up the wall.
It does. It's frustrating.
It is frustrating because you put in good work. You yourself.
Thank you, sir.
I called you the blueprint for a reason, because you absolutely did lay the groundwork for others to say, okay, let me have 2 shows. We only have 3. Let me have it. Like, clearly you set that. Like, I'm not saying this just to blow your head up, right?
No. But that's very kind of you to say. Trust me. I appreciate it.
And you have good content creators on talking about games positively. You're not here to down anybody or anything. And you speak your mind and you're truthful and genuine. That I like. I appreciate genuine. I don't like fakes.
You,
and for you to genuinely grab 15K, or at least be on the precipice of it, is a big monumental thing, and you all deserve that. And I feel like if you guys hearing this, if you're not subscribed and you're not here to support this brother who has supported the community and uplifted it, I think, in a lot of positive ways, I think, you know, you're doing a disservice to the community in a way. And I say that because we have to reward those who lead positively, okay. I'll say it one last time because I don't want to drone on, but you're right. It's negativity is rewarded. And I find it so sad because I much like you, I have my show. I don't go on there talking to negatively and all that. I don't do that on there on the fix. I just talk gaming and talk about what I love. I don't want to go on here and get on a podcast and talk about what I hate. I think that's a waste of time. So when you come on here and do this positively and people are not really holding you down, but they'll go to these super toxic channels and support them, I find that so weird.
It is weird.
Support good content creators, folks, who talk positively about gaming, about the content, about the gaming platforms you love. Support them and hold them down. I know most of you guys here probably do, but if you could help share it out to get how many more you need?
62 subscribers away from 15K. Yeah.
I said 26. I did it
I
backwards.
wish that would have been great. I'd have been dancing around.
Yeah. So you guys can share it out and just help share that out on Twitter, and maybe Boom. I don't know if you want to make a tweet about it, and you guys can share it for them from that way. But
yeah, as we get closer by the end of the week, I'm going to be, by the weekend, I'm going to try and push the envelope and do it, like one of those tweets. Hey, listen, support us. Come over here, click, double click, whatever. But listen, speaking of which, we have you here. The Fix this Thursday, 8 p.m. You and Daniel McGee, great content creators. You talk about everything. Obviously, the talk of the town has been Deadpool and Wolverine. Some new information that have come out from multiple sources, like My Time to Shine, which is a great scooper. She's freaking tastic when it comes to the MCU stuff. Josh, who I don't know personally, but I kind of feel like I do, from Den of Nerds. I listen to him every day. Charlie from Emergency Awesome is another amazing YouTuber.
Yeah, good show. New rock stars with Nick Vosh.
Yeah, oh my God,
solid.
New rock stars is I should have. I mean, they're just like the tip of the spear, if you will. Right now there's so much excitement for the MCU we haven't had in a real long time.
Oh man,
obviously, there's big talk of AVX, which of course is Avengers versus X-Men. There's a lot going on, and you cover it. You cover it there. Not only do you cover wrestling, and again, I don't watch it. I don't watch it anymore. The best wrestling that I ever watched was the 90s WCW, the NWO era. My favorite.
New.
Oh my God. What? And again, that's when you had, of course, WCW going against WWE.
The Monday Night Wars. Yes.
Yeah, it was freaking classic. What a great time for wrestling.
Indeed, the golden era.
But of course, let's sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone about the Fix, where they can subscribe and obviously tune in every Thursday, 8 p.m. And more importantly, find you on social media.
Yes, indeed. Boom. Much love to you, brother, for holding us down and having me as a panelist. I appreciate you. Even when I know a brother might miss the show. I might doze off on you. You still hold me down. That's all love. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you guys in the chat for always being here, holding us down too. And we may not always agree, but I don't think that should ever be the case that we always have to agree
for us
to get along. And yes, Attitude Era was the best, King Styles. That's pretty much the 90s.
Indeed it was.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
And of course, I love Bret the Hitman Hart, Abdel, 100%. The excellence of execution. He used to be my actually all-time favorite 4-point, and I think he still is the best overall, just wrestler.
I remember he started out as remember the Bret the Hitman Hart when he used to wear like the hot pink tights with what's his name? The guy used to go like this with his beard. I forgot.
Anvil.
Anvil.
Yes.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
oh my God,
classic stuff.
Back in the 80s, man.
Oh man, classic stuff. But you guys, we had a really good discussion last week. Actually, Danny missed the show last week, but my guests, we carried it. Santi and her husband Ryan. We carried it on a real good conversation for Deadpool. It was kind of spoilery though, so for anybody who might want to check it out. But we didn't get too many people to come by, unfortunately. Although I get it, it's so many shows going on and whatever. But I would appreciate it if you guys could come and hold us down going forward. The Fix is on at Thursdays at 8:00 Eastern. Myself and Daniel J. McGee. I'm going to see if I can get Rand to come through this week, because Rand is actually
another Chi-Town brother.
Fan. Yes, another Chi-Town brother, and he was talking about it on Friday's show with Jazz, and he was trying to give out not suggestions, but predictions for SummerSlam that just happened, which was actually really solid, by the way. So we'll be talking about SummerSlam this week as well. So I figure I can try to get him on there, and I'll try to round it out with some good gaming discussion, obviously, too. For those who might want to just come by for that. Come by 8:00 Eastern this Thursday. Show us some love, please. Shout out to Black Viking, by the way, who was in the chat. I saw you a while ago, brother, and rooting me on for what I was saying. I appreciate you. And Black Viking is a good brother who deserves our love and respect as well.
Indeed.
And for positivity as well. Him and his crew, his brother and everybody. But
the Longhouse Gaming Podcast,
indeed.
One of the hot new podcasts of 2024.
Yes, indeed. So you guys come by, show us some love. It's the resurgence of the MCU. Like Boom said, I cannot wait to talk about these types of things more. And I would say to you guys, be willing to explore more beyond just the same gaming talk, because we're going to typically get that. You're going to get that no matter what by listening to so many gaming podcasts. You're going to hear the same thing kind of over and over. So kind of try to step outside of the comfort zone a bit and check us out on the Fix. And I'm not saying this to down anybody else, but just saying we have a lot of interest as gaming and I guess culture hobbyists and nerds as we are, right? Let's explore that and listen to these other types of topics and stuff outside of just gaming. Appreciate you guys. And see you guys next week.
Absolutely, brother. And Jamie Moran, let's sell your brand, brother, because not only do you have a podcast each and every week, but you also do great videos. And again, it's always sad to see the Arkham escapees attack you for putting out content like, oh, I don't know, the 10 next biggest games coming to Xbox. Not as exclusive, simply just saying, hey, these games are coming to the platform I love the most. And some of them, and again, that's why you block. When people expose themselves to you, pause, you block them so they don't obviously blind you with the exposure, but also you get rid of the toxicity. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about the podcast, where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. And congrats on almost hitting 15,000 subscribers.
Sir.
Like, that is no small feat. 15,000 subscribers is a lot. So congrats on about to get there. But yeah, so my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I cover Xbox exclusively. I'm a pro Xbox channel, but if the stuff I need to talk about, I will. I cover games coming to the platform every single month. I have All Things Xbox podcast on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. We tend to be a 2-hour show, cover everything, surprisingly, Xbox. And today I'm probably going to pop off about the whole Destin Legarie thing again.
As you should. I mentioned here your opinion, but I want to hear Logan's as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go off on that. And, you know, it's strictly an Xbox show. You know, there's no fanboy stuff or any of that stuff. It's always fun over there in the chat. But if people want to support the channel, that's great. And, you know, that's The Elusive Gamer. On Twitter, I'm Jamie Moran UK, where it's strictly gaming and jokes and trying to avoid the whole Arkham Asylum escapees.
Very hard to do, but at least you have Batman moves to take them down. So that's awesome. I definitely appreciate you being here as always. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. A big thank you to all of the super chats and the new channel members that continue to come in through the generosity of people in the chat here. We greatly and honestly, truly appreciate all the support. It allows for Mrs. Boom and I to do the big giveaways. We have quite a few coming up in the months of September, October, November, and of course, the big one for December of 2024. Mrs. Boom and I, for our 6th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, are giving away $2,000 in 2 hours. That's right. You heard it correct. We are giving away $1,000 per hour for our annual podcast. And obviously, that's a lot of money. But we want to give back as much as we get. And that's why we do what we do. And we can't do that without your help. So again, thank you so much for that. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids and would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.